going live. In a second, are we going live?
Probably already live, to be honest with you.
If you go up to the loft today, you're sure of a big surprise. If you go up to the loft today, you'll never believe your eyes. For every train there ever was has gathered there together, because today's the day that Jenny does the Monday Club. Yay!
Big hello to everybody, and a quick off the mark. Gosh, you guys are... You guys. George Botterini, a huge thank you for donating $9.99. Sorry, I'm being distracted by.
I give you the list of people.
That's all right. I was remembering it. I'm going to take your phone off you because you're not allowed to have a phone. But a big thank you to George Botterini, who's very generously donated $9.99 on Super Chat, and also Nuts and Bolts 77, who's donated $15. Oh my word! And George Botterini's come back in and donated a further $19.99 for the 2 weeks. You don't have to.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my word, that is incredibly generous of you. And we are going to be doing, we've got a review. One of the things that I wanted to try and start doing is I've already filmed a review where I show people exactly where the Patreon money has gone for last month. So there's a specific item that I've put that into, and I'm going to do a review, and we're going to actually make that available a week or more earlier for patrons. But I also want to do another video.
She's going to make me do lots of work.
Yeah,
it's true.
Where, I'm actually going to at the beginning say that it's the items that have come from what the Super Chat donations have come through. So thank you so much for those guys. So we've got Ruben Ashwell, DL Warren, Damien McKenna, Patrick Ling, Leslie Gilpin, Bangor U Junction, Carl Brown, Blair Gowery, Forest Railway, Andrew Johnson, Flammer Chairman 1, Otis JB, Dongus Model Railway, Mark Wilson, Evening Middle, Timber Surf, and also the Tim Scale 3D products did arrive, looking great. Going to start filming those either after the stream or more likely tomorrow, actually, depending on how tired I feel. Got Andy Brooks, Right on Track, Robin Slewer, Gone Loco, Gordon Hanning, Dean Fielding, Iron Horse Railways, who says, anyone else just got COVID or just me? Actually, I believe that Wardle Road is very poorly as well. So we're going to send out messages to Ollie at Wardle Road. Hope you get better soon, because I know he's put out and said he's not going to be able to do the Wardle Wednesday. But you just stay safe. Stay tucked in bed, and just make sure that you are well.
Yeah, health comes first.
Absolutely. We got Peter Jackson, James Hardy, Lewis J. Cartwright, Worthington Model Railway, Paul Murphy, Cameron Patterson. Gosh, there's a lot of people in. The comments are going up ever so quick. Fat Wallet Boy 2, Mel's, SHGP Media, Flower Chairman 1, Gordon McIlroy, H&H Express Model and Scale Trains. Oh gosh, they're going off the top really quick. Sue at Putnam Junction, Andy Brooks, Ham Shackleton, Games and Trains, hi to you. But today, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and the reason for this is that I have been monitoring things over the last week. The whole thing with the Titfield Thunderbolt between Hornby and Rapido. Now for Hornby, has this been a PR disaster, or actually is this a marketing genius? And the reason that I want to explore this idea is actually because if you've taken a look at how the Hornby items are actually selling out there, and I'm not talking about Titfield Thunderbolt, and they don't appear to have been made available to order just yet, and there's something quite clever going on. But in terms of all the other items that they've been announcing, there's a lot which do appear to be selling out to pre-order. And, I've seen lots of theories on this. But one thing that was pointed out to me, actually, was that the Hornby share price has shot up. So it does beg the question, and I know that Simon Kohler is an amazing strategist. I've often joked, both to him and to other people, and he never denies this, that he has an amazing poker face, and you should not play poker for money with Simon Kohler, because he will win. You can never tell what's really going on from what he says and does. There's a lot of very careful planning going on, and it made me wonder, now, is this a PR disaster or is it marketing genius? Although William Hawke says whichever way, it is a massive risk, and yes, I would agree
given
on
that that's the chart for this month of their stock price, I'd say genius.
Yeah, so I'm just going to hold that up. I don't know, is that going to come out?
It's going to come out.
So you see the big spike there. So that's the announcement, and it stayed high. It hasn't tanked. So the Hornby share price has actually done really well. Now, one of the things that's quite interesting, I did actually have a chat with Rapido, and the thought is that Hornby may well just quietly drop their Titfield Thunderbolt models. Now, anything that they've tooled up for, I'm guessing that they could certainly bring out Lion, and that would be most welcome to go with the Era 1 models that they've announced. But actually, Dongett's Model Railway does make an interesting point. What is the scale on that chart?
From 40 to 55 pounds.
Right, so that's very misleading because it's
is.
only showing the top of the little...
Yes, it would show more if there was more to show. But
Yeah.
that's the kind of share tracker I was looking at. It's gone from 40 to 55.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's like a 25%, in fact, more than 25, 30%
It's a big increase.
So we're looking at about a 30% increase.
Yeah.
Beverage of choice tonight is a praline latte.
Yes.
B2000 RO Toys channel, a big hello to you. Wamgok as well says, buy from Hornby. Now, this is another interesting point as well. I'm going to touch on this. It's something that quite a few people have pointed out with the APT in particular, that Hornby are actually honouring pre-order prices direct with them. So, whereas they've kind of, just before the announcements, they announced that there was a big price increase. We've had a number of different price increases. But at the moment, certainly, and I've not had any official word on this. I don't know whether this is something that we can expect in the future. But Hornby have been honouring those pre-order prices, which whilst people might begrudge paying full RRP, that full RRP as was is now less than what the discounted prices would be now. Dongett's Model Railway asks, do we know if the Titfield Thunderbolt has anything to do with the price rise or just the announcement in general? No, the price rises are actually, they're down to increased cost of not just... so we've got Ken Patterson coming through. So what we're going to do is just give me...
Yeah, I'm going to sort this out. You keep going, Jen. It's all right.
So I did invite Sir Ken of Patterson on. So Ken, just do keep ringing because we're just bringing up the software. We have neglected to... I
didn't expect him to be this quick.
So we are waiting...
It's like it doesn't want to load.
So we got a bit...
Wow.
It
really is like it doesn't want to...
Right, so go to that and then...
I will call him.
Right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and get Sir Ken of Patterson on. And this is something that... God, this is slow.
This is really, really messed up. Sorry. Let's bring this up. Come on. Is it...
The Book of Face is...
Wow,
there we go.
so
Look,
bad.
it's there. Right, so we're going to try and call Sir Ken of Patterson now. So if you make that fit that screen...
Yeah.
We're going to see if we can get hold of Sir Ken of Patterson. So this is a first. Apparently...
Oh, come on. I have already done this. What are you doing to me, Facebook?
Just go to always.
No, I don't want to always block it. What are you talking about?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just shouting at things.
Jen,
right.
Keep going. I'll sort this. Technical things have happened.
Right, so technical things are happening. We're trying to get Ken Patterson up, and I don't know why it's suddenly done this. But essentially, right, the price increases are because of manufacture in China. Prices have gone up for raw materials. Prices have gone up for labour. But then shipping costs have really, really ramped up. We're talking like something like a 4,000% increase. Not 4,000, that would be ridiculous. A 400% increase. And that is just incredible, the amount of increase in the actual costs. You know, when you add in all of these different costs, that is what's driving the price up. It's nothing to do with the Tipfield Thunderbolt range. And we're seeing this around the world and across lots of other manufacturers' ranges as well. So it's just hoping that this works, actually.
I have a feeling it's decided not to. Right, so we tested this.
Yeah, we did test this.
Everything was allowing. Everything was working.
Yeah, we so Ken, we've
Here it is. It's working now.
Oh, right. So is that actually calling him now?
Should be, yeah.
So do you want to move that over?
I will.
This is actually quite this is novel.
I hear it. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. I've just brought you up on screen. We're live on the Monday Club. Hi, Ken. How are you doing?
Danny.
So we're hoping that this works. This is quite new for us. So basically, we've never tried doing it like this before. And it's when you use OBS and you also use other programs, they kind of fight each other for control of the cameras. So what I've done is I've put in a special camera for the job. But how are you doing? It's great to see you. And we've got lots of people in at the moment, actually. There's a couple of hundred people in. And gosh, it's amazing how quick the comments are streaming up the screen. But what time is it?
Where do you see comments?
The only thing I would say is you'd need to bring up on something like a phone, or I can read some of that. There's loads of people saying hello to you. So we've got Vobert Becking, Peter Jackson, Simon Train's Model Railway Showcase, the 700 Shunter, Andy Brooks, Timber Surf as well. We mentioned Timber Surf on the Tim Scale 3D when I was on What's Neat This Week. He's actually in the chat. We've got Worthington Model Railway. God, my word, everybody's saying hello. There's so many names. Mark Wilson says, hi, Ken, love your channel. But it's really great to finally get you on screen on the Monday Club. So what time is it over there with you in where you are?
It's 1:13 here right now.
Oh my! And
I have never used these headsets to ever talk on, and I've never done this on Skype ever. So this is all new to me. In fact, I've never plugged a camera into this computer.
Really? It's coming through fine, actually. We've got good picture and good sound, actually. And at the moment, actually, one of the things we're talking about is the increased cost in models. And I am curious, over there in the US, are you finding that the actual price you're paying in the store is starting to ramp up quite dramatically for new models coming through? How are you finding it over there?
I haven't bought anything in a while, so I haven't really noticed.
But things like RRPs.
I know this is really weird.
I mean, have the RRPs gone up at all that you've seen, or is it not something that you've looked at?
It is not something I've actually looked at. I have heard rumors that locomotive prices are going up, and they've got to make up for the shipping somehow. They've got to, up to this point, they've been eating that, but they do have to make up for it. So I expect at some point that'll happen.
I mean, one of the things I know that Hornby, actually, we're talking about Hornby because they've just announced their range last week. And one of the things I think that a lot of people are talking about is quite eye-watering is the increase in prices to the point where we've got locomotives that when the actual model from the same molds were brought out 5-10 years ago, they were less than a third of the price that they're now proposing to charge for effectively the same model but with a different running number on the side. And a lot of that has been put down to I think it's the triple whammy. We've got the increase in labour costs out in China. We've got the increase in materials costs. And then we've also got this huge increase in international shipping. And that as well has caused all sorts of problems, not just in the outright cost, but we're seeing models that are just delayed and delayed. I know that I did a load of reviews on the some Bachmann models that were commissioned by a retailer in the UK, and the samples that all the media were reviewing were flown in, but the actual models were sat on the quayside in China for nearly a month, just waiting to get an empty container that they could be loaded into because they just weren't around.
Right. It's to be expected. If you go through the old model railroader magazines, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, it seems like prices always double every 20 years anyway.
Yeah.
And we haven't had that much inflation in this country. And we've got 7% just in the month of December here in this country. So it's to be expected. It's to be expected, but I also expect that, we're all going to do everything we can to make up for it by making more money too.
Yeah, I mean, inflation is definitely ticking up over here as well, and I guess it's going to be the same everywhere else.
Well, you've also got to remember, Jan, that because of inflation,
hey, Zoe.
your perception of prices changes. We see this in retro gaming, and you'll see it looking back in anything else as well. Like, I used to be able to buy a budget computer game for £1.99.
Yeah.
But back then, £1.99 bought you a hell of a lot more than it does now.
Yeah, I mean, this is like I can. This is the cupboard monkey Zoe, by the way. Just to introduce you. Are you hearing okay through your headphones, Zoe?
My headphones are so low, it's amazing.
I mean, you can turn them up a bit actually. If I turn it up just a little bit, I've probably got a volume setting on my headphones, but definitely, I think people's perception is they think that because a gallon of gas cost a certain amount 20 years ago, that somehow it should always cost that, and actually that's not the case. And
right.
I know when you look back at some of the adverts from the 1950s, from the 1960s, for the models that were available then, and if you put them into an inflation calculator, it is actually quite staggering how much in real terms some of those old models really cost. People look at the headline price of, like £9 for a full train set in a box. But actually that £9 equated to like a week and a half's wages for the average person. And I'm guessing it's exactly the same everywhere else.
I know, how weird is that? All right, so this is weird because we usually always use the podcast table to do this. That's where I always talk to you on Skype.
Yeah.
Which is sitting right there.
Oh, right.
That's the backside.
So
you guys get to see it from... This is where we sit. So this is where I got the soundboard underneath ready to go for 16 microphones.
That is a nice soundboard, actually.
We've got the computer running, and then we got all the bright lights that help light up the entire cast and crew. We got monitors all over the place so that we can see what's going on. I love the setup. I actually got the table out of the neighbor's trash and refurbished it into what it has become.
Wow, because it looks really great when you see it from the other side, and it's got "What's Neat This Week" written around the front. It really does look professional.
You've just seen it from the backside.
I think that's the first time we've ever seen the "What's Neat This Week" booth from behind. I don't recall ever seeing it this way round.
I know, right? It would be interesting to do a video on showing how to podcast for people, to show them the equipment needed and what you need to do. There's a whole bunch of money in order to pull it off.
Yeah, and I think it's. I know the investment that we made. We were quite lucky that when we got monetized on YouTube, we did plow a lot of the money into new equipment. So we got decent microphones, we got sound desks, and we've got a lot of cameras. And like you say, it's it takes a lot of money to make things seem very kind of off the cuff and just kind of roll along as if it's not scripted or anything. But actually, there's a lot of work that goes into that.
A lot of Model Railroad friends and viewers of the show, a few of them in readers' comments, didn't quite understand that part of it. And when we started going for sponsors, which took a year, almost 2 years to get enough viewership so that we could actually go after sponsors for the show, some of them were offended by that. They were like, you should be doing this out of gratitude for the hobby to help the hobby. And while I do understand that, between producing the What's Neat show, as you well know, because now you're working with us on that project, and doing the weekly podcast, and then taking care of accounts and collections and accounting, it's a 7-day-a-week job. And in order to be able to justify the time, you've got to be able to produce the income to support your life and support your surroundings. So we've turned this into a legitimate business, and we are definitely competing head-to-head now with the model press, the paper magazines.
Yeah. And it's actually, we've got, I did see earlier on, there's New Junction in the chat who is actually, it's from one of the magazines in the UK. And it's interesting to see that certainly in the UK, a lot of the magazines have started to get on board with the online content, the video content. And I guess it's a case of adapting to service the market as it changes. But it is interesting, like you say, I get exactly the same. A lot of people saying, why, how dare you make money out of this? And it's like, would you march into McDonald's and shout at the person behind the counter? It's like, you should be doing this for free. How dare you make money from this? Or, a TV presenter, how dare you make money?
It's not a bad thing because we're supporting a lot of other people that help me do the show. They get compensated. And with regards to the federal government, 2018, I paid $31,000 in American taxes for the proceeds. So between that and the fact that with all the equipment and the microphones and the disc jockey mics, the 12 lapel microphones, I've got 18,000 in equipment tied up in this project.
Yeah, and it soon mounts up.
And of course, you should be able to say, well, I've put this amount in. At the very least, I should be able to get that back out.
Yeah,
and a lot of people don't look at it like that. It's like, no, you love it. You should have invested your money and just left it.
And I guess the other thing as well is it's what you put back into the hobby outside of monetary value. It's in terms of letting a wider audience know about products, letting getting people to recognise that certain new products exist, to actually find them, to buy them, and to use them. And I guess, I do a lot of reviews, and part of that is about making people aware of models to then go out and buy them. Which, I always say to people, it's you can have the best product in the world. If people don't know it's there, how can you expect them to buy it?
Well, the numbers are real. We've got 15 sponsors that so far, and they keep increasing. We rotate them out. Various shows, we try to only have 3 or 4 or 2 on a show. I can give you one example, though. They wouldn't sponsor the show unless it worked for them. The people that watch the show, honest to goodness, they pay attention and they spend money. I without bringing up specific names of companies, when James Wright and I promoted pre-sales on a specific locomotive about 1.5 years ago, we had 6 weeks to get pre-sale orders in. We put the company over their expected sales by 11%. We sold $480,000 of one locomotive pre-sales. So what we do does benefit the manufacturers directly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of the things I always say to people is, people think that like, oh, why do you get these free models? And they're not free because, when you get a review model through, there's a lot of work goes into filming it, producing that video, getting that video out there, promoting it. And manufacturers wouldn't do that unless it's sold product, as simple as that. We've got a few questions coming through.
What is that? Is that a beer or is that a soda, Zoe?
I'm offering you a Pepsi.
She's offering me. It's a Pepsi Max. We're not sponsored by them. It's something that we probably should try and get sponsored by a beverage company. But we've got a question here for you, Ken, from Simon Train's Model Railway Showcase. It says, where did the idea come from to start What's Neat this week?
I started What's Neat with Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine back in 2012, and that's the show where we get our hands dirty. That's the one where we do the how-tos. And that was November 12. And the reason that came along was I simply wanted to I've written 450 articles for our paper press with 175 cover photos. And I wanted to move on to the internet. And that's where Joe Fugate with Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine came in. I cold called him one day and said, look, for a simple fee every month, I want to do something like a Tony Kester's Trains of Thought. I want to be able to feature one photo shoot every month that I do, and then have that monthly column to help supplement my income. And then I bought a video camera, and I discovered that you could say so much more with 3 or 4 minutes of video than you could with 8 photographs in a paper magazine.
Yeah.
And so that's when the What's Neat show started to take off. The very first videos were only 3 or 4 minutes long. Some of the shows are over an hour long. And then in 2017, Chris Palomares convinced me to, and I fought him every bit of the way. He said, you got to do a weekly show. You've got to create an audience. And if you make it work and you stay consistent, you make production values professional, you give a good presentation, this is something that could replace all your photography jobs that you've done for the manufacturers, because photography work started to slow down. These guys thought they could use their cell phones and shoot their own photos. So I'm really glad I did it. If I wouldn't have done it, I'd have to go out and get a real job right now.
We've got, and there's quite a few questions coming in. Patrick Webb asks, for Ken and Jen, what do you think the model train industry can or should do to bring young people into the hobby with rising prices?
I don't think prices matter, but with regards to the young people, we've found them. They're on the internet. We've brought them. We've got them.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you on that, is that one of the things that I've found in doing the video work that I do, and I'm guessing you found exactly the same, is that the younger, newer generation who don't buy magazines. They never did. Why would they make an exception for model magazines? They inhabit the internet. If they want to find things out, they do it on the internet. If they want to find out about a new product or learn new techniques, their first port of call is always the internet. And what I found was that in tapping into that, all of a sudden, the audience is there. It's like a big silent block of people, of young people, who, we don't need to attract them into the hobby. They're already there. It's just they weren't reading mainstream magazines and weren't hanging out where the old people were.
No, true that. And it's not just young people we're after. The middle-aged, there's a lot of folks that have discovered the hobby simply because of the openness of the internet.
Yeah.
There are people that have contacted us that by watching our show or accidentally discovering our show, it has motivated them to get into the hobby, something they would have never thought of to do before. Especially during COVID. We brought so many new people on board. Our numbers during COVID doubled or even tripled since COVID rolled around. Yeah. And hobby shop sales and manufacturer sales. We experienced in this country Christmas sales for 14 months straight.
Yeah, we had exactly the same here. And I spoke to quite a few model shop owners as well as manufacturers. And you could almost sense that some of them were almost embarrassed that whilst a lot of shops were struggling, a lot of businesses were having to shut down because of COVID, they were having this bumper renaissance year, which they'd never seen before.
Right.
And, in some respects, the hobby was really good at getting people through this period. And like yourself, we saw viewing figures more than double. I think we're about 3 times what we had pre-COVID. Right. And it's a lot of people, if not discovering the hobby for the first time, certainly rediscovering an old hobby that maybe had fallen by the wayside from when they were younger, and actually use that as a creative outlet to kind of keep themselves sane through lockdown when everything else that they might have otherwise done had to shut down and go into stasis. And what's nice to see is that a lot of these people have kept up with that hobby as we've come out of lockdown. They found that actually they enjoy it so much that they will keep it up outside of lockdown. So we've seen a sustaining of some of the figures. They're not as high as they were, but we've seen a lot of the increase that we got has been sustained.
I agree. No, I agree, and it's to be expected. The biggest fear I would have is if manufacturing moved from China back into this country. That would be a huge price increase with regards to what you need to make to live and pay employees. I mean, you got to figure. You look at China, a pack of cigarettes over there is about 99 cents.
Yeah.
Pack of cigarettes here is about $8. It's 14 in New York. So it's such a. My biggest issue lately has been time management. As well, my lifestyle has changed a great deal here in the last 6 months. I fell behind big time on January's shows. My new life of dating women. I mean, there was one week where I had 4 different dates over a period of 4 days. Time management. I didn't get any video done for those days, and that's an issue. So I had to slow down on that and get back to the real world of what I've got to do to stay with production. And I've managed to do that this month. I'm on time with everything so far.
That's good. I've got another question here.
Can I just say that Ken has just really blown away that old stereotype that a lot of people in the UK especially have of trained people. I have had so many dates that I've had to implement some time management. The stereotype doesn't work for that.
It didn't used to be that way. I loved being married. I thought it was great, and that's why I was able to get so much work done. Everybody keeps asking me, when am I going to finish the N-scale layout? Well, when you're married and you're just working 7 days a week and you can go upstairs and get your hugs and get dinner and then come back down and work, it ain't like that no more. That life is gone. I don't know if I'll ever get the N-scale layout done.
Oh, I think everybody can relate to some degree of having that project that you just never quite get round to finishing. But I think you've got a great excuse. And
I need to meet some women that like the hobby. If I can pull that off, find somebody with like interests, I'll date them and put them to work and pay them.
I mean, on that subject, when you do the shows in the US,
this is stuff we don't talk about on the podcast. We don't get. You're getting a scoop here.
I know. But I mean, on that subject, actually, I'm quite interested. Do you get a lot of women modelers at the shows that come out of the woodwork, like when you do RPM and that? Are there a lot of women there who are into the hobby?
No.
So
no, there's not.
Because I know in the UK it's and lockdown has really kind of accelerated this, but we're getting a lot more women who are admitting that they're into the hobby and certainly the creative aspects.
Please. That would be wonderful. I haven't seen that. At the RPM meet, I see women and I question them. I said, do you support your husband in the hobby? Yes, I do. But most of the women are there supporting their husbands. They're not there because they're avid modelers. My experience is it's mostly guys in their 50s to 70s. I have not. I would welcome the day that I could meet a girl that has my passion. That would really mess with my head. I'm sure that they're
out there. I mean, I know through Facebook a few women modelers in the US. They are definitely out there somewhere, but it's just a case of. I think in the UK, the paradigm shift for us was that series that I've talked about with you a lot before, Great Model Railway Challenge. And that kind of made it okay. It dispelled a lot of the stereotypes. And there were one of the things that the TV producers were quite keen on was having teams that had women on them. And there was even an all-women team as well. And it did a huge amount of good to the hobby to actually dispel this myth that model trains were just for men and that there was a certain stereotype of that. And ever since then, we've seen a lot more families going to shows and stuff. We've seen families making a model together as a family unit rather than, dad's up in the attic or down in the basement making a model railway. We just leave him to it. And I think that TV series, more than anything else, kind of kicked off this revolution in terms of people thinking actually it's okay for women to be into to models.
Right. Well, when I go to the store that sells art, oils, we have something called Hobby Lobby in this country. And I go in there, I see nothing but women that are artists. They have all their different types of hobbies in the store, oil painting and pencil drawing and sketching. I see a ton of women that are into that, but I have not experienced that in our hobby. And our hobby is such a diverse art. It includes painting. It includes so many other things besides running trains. So I would welcome that, and maybe that day will come.
Absolutely. I'm just looking. I'm just trying to find my place again. I had a really good question here from Tim Davis. Says thoughts on people who gatekeeper in modelling. And I know certainly in the UK it's something that can be a bit of a scourge of like model clubs, where you get some people who I describe them as the fun police, and they're the kind of people who it's like, oh no, if you're going to model this, you have to do this and you have to do that, and it's very it's almost like they police what people are and aren't allowed to do. Do you get that in the US, or are people much more model whatever you want as long as you're enjoying yourself, then that's really what this hobby is supposed to be about?
I don't know, you're losing me. I don't know what gatekeeper is.
Kind of like
you're losing me in the question.
Someone who tries to put a roadblock up to stop newcomers coming in and changing the way that people do things.
Yeah, trying to keep the hobby exclusive to people who think a certain way. There's always been in the UK to some extent people who believe that you have to model things in a certain way, and that anything that's not prototypical should be frowned on and not encouraged. And I just wonder whether you've seen any elements of that in the US.
I've tasted that in the train clubs over the last 30 years, where you've got experts in the group that think things are done their way, or you can take the highway. But what I've discovered by doing the podcasts and having guests on the show is there's 5 or 6 different ways to approach and end up with a great end result. So there's no such thing as rules. There's no such thing as hard set rules, and there shouldn't be. Everybody, this is what I love about you doing What's Neat segments. And me and Jeff Schultz and Fugate talked about this just a few minutes ago in a conference call. You bring a whole different approach to your modeling than what we're used to here in this country. And that is a welcoming experience for new people and me alike.
Yeah, and it's one of the things, conversely, that I've taken on board from US modelers, because there's this difference in the way that you approach modeling. I think it's a great exchange of ideas. And like you say, there's no one true way to do things. And that actually, when you sit, it almost opens your eyes to new, possibly even better ways of doing things when you see what, for me, what you guys are doing in the US. And, we've seen comparatively recently in the UK market a lot of really great products from especially companies like Woodland Scenics that have actually changed radically the way that people build models over here, which I think is really great. And I guess like when I demonstrated to you the static grass applicator with the really long grass, that was something that you hadn't got to grips with before.
No, I failed when I did the grass tough video, and I actually failed on camera. I couldn't get that stuff to come out.
Yeah, and it's all down to the gauze. And like you said, when I showed you the gauze in the video, it is quite coarse, but it does work. I've got some more questions.
Another thing that opened my eyes was that spray-on glue that you were using.
The static grass layering spray and building the static grass up. Not just as putting like a spray of glue, static grass, and then you're done. And actually, Zoe's just handed me the actual can here. So it's just like a spray aerosol, and it's just a type of adhesive that it doesn't clog the grass. It's not heavy, so it doesn't flatten what you've previously applied. but it allows you to build greater and greater depth with the static grass and different colours into the mix, which is just I don't know, it's a technique I've always used, but I was quite surprised it was something that you hadn't come across in the US.
Well, I called Lombard Hobbies today and left them a message saying, do you guys stock the WAR World Scenics products? And have you seen the glue? I need to send them an advanced copy of that video so they can maybe get that stuff ordered for their store.
I mean, that'd be great. I did speak to War World Scenics as well. I know that they because they were quite excited that I'd done the video as well. But I think there's a great deal of mystery with static grass.
There is.
And again, there's no one way to do it. And I mean, what I've shared there is a conglomerate of the different techniques that I've picked up from various sources. But I've seen some amazing results from various people as well, doing things slightly differently. And it's like so many things in this hobby. If you allow yourself to experiment a little bit, you can actually come up with some really great effects.
I had to do a video for them 2.5 years ago. Joe Fugate sent me all that different length nap that you had, the 11 millimeter, the 12, the 6, the 2. I've got all that here from them, and I made a video for Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine about that. And it wasn't a What's Neat video. It was a video that ran independent of What's Neat. So that I'm familiar with the product. And I've had emails with the people that work there. They're very nice people.
Fair enough. I mean, it's. I must admit, I'm a huge convert to the static grass scene. And one of the other things as well, I know that you spotted in the video. I call it scatter. What was it that you called it?
Oh, we talked about that in the meeting today too. She calls it scatter.
Yeah.
And we call it ground foam.
Ground foam. But yeah, it's like we're.
I actually like scatter better. I like that.
Well,
Just
yeah.
like we call them freight cars, you call them carriages.
Yeah, wagons.
Wagons.
Yeah.
We call it trash. You call it rubbish.
Yeah, and
I love it. I love it.
Well, they always say, isn't it? America and Britain divided by a common language. But
I know, right?
Yeah.
And just remember, you are in my home country.
Yeah, I know. Yes, I know, because it's I mean, you've got dual citizenship, or if you.
I do.
All right, so you.
My father was in the military. He was stationed over there when I was born.
Oh, so have you got a UK passport then, as well as a US one then, or is it a case of if you apply for it, you can get it?
I'm sure I can. I just, I know we're toying with the idea. First, I want you here in St. Louis for the NMRA National this summer, but we've toyed with the idea of somehow getting me over there.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that I think we should explore, and maybe do What's Neat this week on location live in the UK. I'm sure we can sort something.
I know.
If you did that, would it be What's Neat this week or What's Nice this week?
I don't know, because yeah, neat is
What's neat this week?
well, because in the UK we don't tend to call things neat in the same sense as the US. To us, neat is like tidy, like you you make a room neat by tidying it in UK English. So neat is it's a strange sounding word used that way to UK ears, but I like it. No, we've seen films. We know what you mean.
How about what's amazing this week in model railroading?
Yeah, that works. That does work. Right, I've got some more questions. I've got one here from Mark Wilson. It says, have you ever had an exhibition layout?
Yes, I built the Midwest Valley Modelers layout in 1988, and I took that to 50 train shows. And I had to do that because I had already been kicked out of 2 model railroad clubs because I was, you might say, an alpha male or relatively dominant. I was one of those people that thought things could only be done one way, my way, and it didn't get along very well with other people when I was in my teens and early 20s. So the only solution I saw was to start my own train club in this country and run it like a business, run it where I had complete control over the final product, which I wanted the layout to look absolutely professional, very prototypically accurate. And by starting my own group, I was able to do that. And it was a success. We did a lot of shows. We had a lot of fun with it. And then eventually I moved back here onto the bluff of the river, and I wanted to have my own home layout. So that's when I sold the club and started my own deal.
And was that the start of the layout that we see behind you there? Or is that...
Yes.
Right.
It is. It was. Yes, it was.
So I've got another great question here, actually, from again from Mark Wilson. It says, if you could name one modeler that inspired you, who would it be?
Oh, it's going to be more than one name. It would be John Allen. It would be Malcolm Furlow. Those are two names that immediately come to mind. Another one is George Celios with his fine scale miniatures at Great Big City. Another one would be David, the Cat Mountain at Santa Fe Railroad. What was Dave's? I can't remember his last name. Mostly it was the prototype that inspired me, looking at prototype photos and trying to figure out how to make my stuff look like that.
And I know in my case, I would always cite Chris Navard as being one of my big inspirations, and Steve Flint as well. But yeah, I mean, I suppose there's always that one layout that you see when you're young, when you're getting into the hobby, and you think that is amazing. I want to work out how to recreate that.
Right.
I mean, for you, was there a body of work, or was there a specific layout that you saw and you thought, that I want to be able to do that?
I would say I'd have to refer to the prototype again. There was a book that came out published by a gentleman named Macmillan called High Green to Marceline, and that was a Santa Fe from Chicago to, I think he took the book through to Kansas City. And that's what the Midwest Valley Modelers layout was. It was those Santa Fe main lines following their prototypical standards for track design, bridge design, and everything else that led me to the end. Now, being a photographer of many different railroads, my book collection is gigantic, whereas I would copy prototype photographs out of books to create manufacturers' ad shots. The color of the soil, I've got dirt from all over the United States. Georgia dirt is orange or reddish color because it's got a lot of minerals in it, rust in it. Las Vegas dirt is sandy and tan. Midwest dirt is darker brown. And I've got all these different colored dirts that I would apply to a scene depending upon what road name the locomotives were.
Yeah.
And try to match the scenery, whether it's deciduous or desert or city. I would try to make all the ad photos look very different.
And I suppose that's something that we don't really get that in the UK quite so much, but the US is such a massive country that I guess you can have everything from pretty much any climate. Somewhere in the US, there's a railroad running through terrain that looks like a specific part of the world. You know, you can, like you say, anywhere from desert. You can have high mountains with snow. You can have swamp with areas like Florida. You can have places that actually look a lot like the UK and Europe up around Rhode Island, Maine. And it's such an amazing cross, like a wide spread of different terrains that you can have all within the same country. Does that make it a lot more difficult to pitch a range to the US market, because it's almost impossible to cater for everything that people want to model? Because I mean, the UK is probably about the same size as a single US state with terrain accordingly. So it's a lot easier in the UK that a single locomotive or rolling stock or even trees, model trees, are applicable almost to everywhere, but you wouldn't get that as much in the US. So is it a lot more difficult to pitch models because they may not, something that sells on the East Coast might not really sell on the West Coast?
And that is very true. The hobby shops here have to be very cautious in what they stock demographically for where they are. What I find in this country is most people model what they see, they model what they know, which is what they have locally around them, or what as a child they saw that impressed upon them.
Yes.
So they model demographically their local environment. The only thing that messes up that whole equation is if you start going through the years. If you start modeling 1870 or 1890, when the gold rush in this country was at its apex, that whole narrow gauge group of modelers are very diverse and very different than modern day modelers. And there are those folks that, like me, I didn't live anywhere around Santa Fe, but I was very influenced by the beautiful scenery that they had. Abo Canyon, the Hatchapee Loop, so many beautiful places where that railroad ran. So it's mostly a local demographic for the modelers. They model what they know.
I mean, there is an element of that in the UK too, that people tend to model stuff usually from childhood, I think, when things were most impressionable, and then I guess later in life people like to look back on a time that maybe they're looking at through rose-tinted spectacles. I'm very much aware. I'm trying to avoid all like these little phrases that probably sound very weird if you've never really heard them much. But like nostalgia. So they go for this kind of nostalgia of youth.
Well, and again, if we change scales now, if you go to three rail, you know, Lionel or Williams, the various companies that make the three rail stuff, the people that grew up with trains around their Christmas tree. You know, there's a whole nother demographic of modelers that aren't oriented with specific locations, but instead oriented by the buildings and the trains that are available in their scale.
Yeah.
So there's really no such thing as rules. There's not one label you can put on it.
Absolutely. Now, I've got an interesting point being made here in the chat. I'm looking at a comment from Andy Hudson. It says, "Hi, Jen. As an exhibition organizer, would be interested to see the age groups watching this stream, as we're getting a lot more youngsters at our shows." And that goes back to a little bit what we were talking about earlier on, that the young people arguably are already there in the hobby, and it does seem that the exhibitions are reflecting that, certainly in the UK. Do you see a lot of younger generations at shows in the US?
Yes. It's usually the parents that bring their children that are so influenced by what they see. Which is really weird because my children aren't into the hobby at all.
Really?
My son was into it until he was about 6 years old. He would help me in the studio. He learned a lot, but once he got a laptop computer, it was over.
I must admit, some of my nephews are a bit like that. When they're very, very young, model trains, things like Hot Wheels cars as well, they're really into it. And then it's like we lose so many of them to gaming, the internet and computers. And then a little bit older, it's the traditional things that, I remember when, you find the, you find the opposite sex and motorbikes and drinking beer and that kind of thing. I know a lot of people say that kind of, because it sucks up all their free money as well. And then certainly in the UK, it's often the case that, and I know in my case, I came back into the hobby a little bit later in life. I'd been into it as a teenager.
Yes, you went away to beer and girls and motorbikes, and then you came to your senses and came back.
I didn't do the motorbikes. Radio
I think we're all guilty of that.
Radio was my thing, commercial radio. That's where, like music. I've got a huge vinyl record collection still downstairs that is testament to my time on commercial radio and being on the promo lists where they just send you out all these records in the hope that you'll play them on air.
Nice.
Which is and FYI, there's a lot of rubbish.
Rubbish.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of trash, a lot of garbage. But I'm just reading through the comments. I've scrolled to up to date, so I'm really sorry to anybody who's asked a question and we've missed it. If you want to ask it again in the chat, then I'll come back to that. Peter Jackson says, a question for Ken. Do the Hornby UK Coca-Cola models sell in the US? It's something that in the UK, Hornby are making models where they're not of a prototype, but they will put a Coca-Cola livery onto a regular train, be it a freight car, a coach, a locomotive. I'm just wondering, do you have things like that in the US as well?
Yes, we do, and you're describing a whole nother facet to the hobby, the collector. That's very popular in the O-scale 3-rail market. It's also been extremely popular with HO scale models, where you'll have Coke or Pepsi or a lot of beer manufacturers.
Yeah.
It's very collectible to those people. I think Tyco had done that for a while as well. And there's a lot of companies that still reach out to do things like that, because that could ensure another 10 or 15 or 20,000 freight car sales by simply putting that livery onto the freight car. So yes, that's a whole nother market in this country, is the collectors of memorabilia that is more corporate sponsorship.
Yeah, I mean, in the UK, there's some quite famous ones. I mean, at the moment, Coca-Cola, Hornby are doing that. And I don't know whether Hornby sell those in the US or whether somebody else holds the license. But
I'm not going to be political here, but I will tell you this. First, there was a lot of manufacturers that didn't want to touch it. But then one manufacturer, which will be unnamed, did touch it through the National Enquirer, and I think it was Hawthorne Village or whatever the product name was. But the Trump train was a big seller in this country.
Oh yeah, we saw adverts for that. We weren't even certain when they were showing the adverts, and they were all they were like people like Saturday Night Live. Poking fun at it, and we weren't quite sure in the UK whether they were for real or whether it was like a Saturday Night Live sketch. But certainly, I mean, yeah, like you say, that they
sold millions of dollars. Back when Jimmy Carter was president, around 1976 in this country, Walthers stocked the Peanut caboose, which was a caboose that looked like a peanut, and that was directly geared towards Jimmy Carter, the president that used to be a peanut farmer. So, you know, that nostalgia kind of stuff. During the Gulf War, the 3-rail market had flat cars with the president riding a rocket on a flat car, chasing around either Saddam Hussein or one of those characters. And that's a very collectible thing that's tripled or quadrupled in value.
I mean,
so there is politics play into our hobby as well with regards to products that are made.
I mean, in the UK, I don't think I've ever seen anything political in terms of model rail stuff.
The Boris Johnson boxcar.
It'd be the Boris Johnson zip line, and he'd be stuck in the middle.
Boris bus. Boris makes model buses.
Oh, apparently, I'm being told that there is a model bus. But
or something to do with Tony Blair or any of those popular figures in your politics.
Yeah, I see. In the UK, it tends to just be that they slap a Union flag on things, and that's about as political as we get, really. In model form.
Frazier does make a figurine of Margaret Thatcher.
Yes.
They also make one of Barack Obama and his wife.
I've seen they do a Helmut Kohl as well.
The model companies have tapped into that.
Yeah, a Prizer is great for that. They do some a really quite extensive range of figures, and some of them are quite fun too. I've seen. I think that they do Julius Caesar. They do various other figures from through history, so you can actually create all sorts of wonderful little cameos with them. And actually, when I did Great Model Railway Challenge, we actually got a huge number of the Prizer figures to be able to populate the. We did a Austin Powers themed layout, so we had things like random task, that the guy who throws his shoe. We had Dr. Evil. We had the Fembots. We had all of these sort of figures, and we created them out of basically off-the-shelf figures you could buy from Prizer.
Right.
I'm just going to have to send a big thank you to Simon Train's Model Railway Showcase, who has donated £5 through the super chat and says, loving the collab with Jenny and Ken this evening. Thank you for an epic live stream. Rock and roll.
All right.
So
Well, I'll give a here's a shameless plug. You guys can go to kenpatterson.com and you can donate to our show. We've set up something here with PayPal in the United States, and we've had a lot of wonderful contributions, and we so appreciate that because it does help us produce the show.
Absolutely, and it's like I always say that it's what makes the content possible, because it does cost money, it does cost time, and time costs money, because obviously the time you have to put into making videos and to editing as well. I think a lot of people forget that it probably takes 5, 6, 7 times as long doing the editing as it does doing the filming. And all of that, it's made possible by people donating in that respect. Because I do for my sins have a day job that I still do, and when people do donate, it does make things a lot easier to be able to do things. So a huge thank yous. And do you have that address again, Ken? Just I'll get the cupboard monkey to type it into the chat as well. So here you are.
Oh, this is shameless, but it's kenpatterson.com. That's all it is. kenpatterson.com. And on that website, you can see all the courtroom models I built for the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad for their lawyers. You can also see all the photography that I shot when I used to shoot slides. There's a lot of different pages and a lot of different neat stuff to see. But to donate, you go to the home page and you can click on the icon, and it's all up to you.
That's brilliant. And I'll have to plug mine when I'm on your show. No, I won't. But
Cat.
Hey, there's Stripe.
Oh, a little kitty cat.
Oh,
that's Stripe.
So
that is my current. That's who I live with now.
I love cats, but they always say that dogs have owners and cats have staff. Does
that mean you're a cat, Jen?
The what, sorry?
Does that mean you're a cat, Jen?
Apparently I'm a cat.
You do have those ears.
I do actually. Yeah, this is what happens when you let somebody else buy your headphones for you. So I've got James Pets here who says, I approve of cats. Patrick Webb says kitty. Hi Kent, hello to you. Greetings from the White Cliffs of Dover. And we also we do have on the Monday Club a really large US contingent of viewers. We had a few people mentioning as well today in the chat from all over the US. And
I'll tell you what, when I would go upstairs, I would catch Michelle sitting in front of the fireplace, my ex-wife, and she'd be watching your show, and she even donated to you.
I know.
And she was really, look, every time you were on the show, she wanted to be on with you, Jenny. She really liked you a lot.
Yeah, and it was, it was good to be on with her. I have to say, quite honestly, it was fun being on with her.
I do miss those days. I miss them, but they're gone, and now we've moved on to a whole new chapter in life.
Absolutely, and I have to say, Ken, you do look really good. You look really happy. You've got this glowing smile. It's great. And as Warbler Productions here says, any pet is good for your mental health. So it's good to see that Ken has a cat, and it is good, isn't it? It's it's having that creature in the house that just kind of will quite happily snuggle up with you and let you stroke them, and it's just really great.
Yeah, she's cool. She's cool. She owns me. I work for her.
Yes, you're her staff.
She stays off the layout. She doesn't mess with the trains, and that's a good thing.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I'm seeing there's quite a few videos online. I think it's one of the Monday Clubbers has a cat that will quite happily try and squeeze through the tunnels on their layout and just wander around on their layout. And they've got a camera train that goes round. So you're going round and it's like this kitten Kong looking down at the train as it goes past or goes through its legs.
Well, back in January of last year, we got my daughter 2 more cats. So there was 3 cats in the house in January last year. And I could not keep them off the layout. every time I came downstairs, the entire switch yard, everything was flipped over.
Yeah.
Everything was just totally messed up. And I'm so happy Michelle took those cats with her. Bye bye cats. They're gone. Oh, and they're not coming back.
Mark Wilson here says, my ex-wife said, it's either me or the trains. He's got a really good train collection. He says, so woo-woo. So I think he's stuck with the trains. In fact, I know he's stuck with the trains. And actually, if you've ever caught any of Mark Wilson's modelling, it is you'd swear you were looking at photographs. He is an incredible modeller. Human City Junction says, hello everyone, who is the guest today? It is Ken Patterson. We've got Ken Patterson of What's Neat This Week fame on the Monday Club, and it's always great to have a chat with Ken. And I've been on your show so many times. It's really great to have you on the show.
I love it when you're on our show, Jennifer. You add something, and now that you're working with us for the What's Neat videos, this is more exciting than ever.
Yeah, and it's I feel absolutely honoured when you think all of the model makers that you could have asked to be involved. I really do feel honoured that you asked me. So it's
well, that's because you know how to edit video. The quality of your production work is great, and I love the fact that you bring the demographic to the hobby that's not just all men. I want that on our show. I want that.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that I've always felt is very important, is keeping the hobby open to everybody, and not saying, oh, you can't do the hobby, because it should be open to everybody. And it was one of the things that, going through Great Model Railway Challenge, and I do keep coming back to this, but it's true. It was really important to the producers of that show to have women visible on that show. Not as a tokenist thing, but simply because there really are these great modelers out there who happen to be women. And I thought that was such a great boost for the hobby, because there's got to be loads of guys into the hobby who, for them, it was a revelation. It's like, so you're saying I could get a wife and she'd enjoy my hobby as well? Sign me up.
I know, right? Where do I sign?
Yeah, it's like, so what's the catch?
I wonder how that would work territorially on the layout. Oh, wait a minute. Oh man, that would be a bad argument if you guys didn't agree on scenery.
I suppose that you'd have to take areas and go, well, this is your bit and this is my bit. I
would be very diplomatic about it.
I think you'd have to have a second layout, and it's like, right, that's your layout. You can do what you want on there, and I'll have this one. But,
I don't know. I'll let you know if that ever happens, how that works out.
No, it could well happen.
But like you said, it's not a token thing about having women on the show. It's going to be your presence on the show where some little girl or some young woman out there will see this and say, "Hey, I can do that."
Absolutely, and you've had quite a few other women as well on What's Neat This Week. The time before last, I was on with a lady as well, and you've had Kathy Millett on as well.
Kathy, that's right. Yeah, I think the other girl was Angela Sutton that we had on. She's an N-scale modeler.
Yes, that's correct.
She was a good guest, very good guest. I met her in a Lionel Strang chat room one night, and I started questioning her, and once I figured out she really knew what she was talking about, I could not wait to bring her on. And that's when I figured we'll bring you and her both on at the same time.
Yeah, that was a great show, actually. I really enjoyed being on that. And as I was saying before, we've got quite a large US audience on the Monday Club. And I put a lot of that down to people having discovered me on What's Neat This Week and seen me on your show and found my show off the back of that. We got a lot of Australian viewers as well, which is really nice too. So it just shows how global this hobby is. We get people from so many different countries. We've got people from India, France, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, South Africa as well. There's quite a lot of people in South Africa. And the internet has really opened the hobby up to, it's opened people's eyes. I can remember 20, 30 years ago, probably about 30 years ago, buying the magazines in the UK, and it was very inward looking. We had no idea what anybody outside of the UK was doing. There was no reference to products from outside the UK.
Right.
There was no reference to how people built models outside of the UK, and now it's like this huge global community.
It's wonderful. It brings the world together. And what I've discovered is all the modelers that we meet from overseas, they're just like us. It's so amazing that we have that cultural connection. And
Exactly,
I will tell you
yeah.
that 20% of our viewership is from overseas.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably about the same with me, and it's a growing sector, I guess, as people kind of want to learn how people do it elsewhere. And
Right.
it's like I found by starting to watch a lot of US channels. I know there's also Luke Towan as a
Oh, I
modeler.
love Luke Towan.
Oh,
I love
man.
that guy. Where does he get his numbers? Have you seen his numbers? He's got millions of views on some of his videos. How does he get those numbers? I want to know.
I think with a lot of things, it's being in the right place at the right time. And if you look back, I know on a lot of channels, if you think, well, where did they start? I think he got very, very slick with his production, and there's a lot to be said
Yes.
for if you've got great editing and you can,
Yes.
you cut out the long-winded bits. You've got, it's like bash, 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 and it sucks you in. Then it's a really great winning formula for a video that just people want to watch and keep watching, and then they share it. But I think as well, he was there before YouTube got monetized, and
Okay.
I know that some of the model railway people in the UK, if you had sort of 10-15,000 subscribers back in about 2010, then you kind of rode the wave as YouTube got big. But certainly his content is incredible, and let's not take anything away from that. When you look at his modeling, it's there's no faking it or anything. It really is high quality stuff. Is he somebody that have you tried to get him on What's Neat this week as a guest?
I think I've talked to him. I've tried to contact him through his readers' comments. I'd love to have him on the show. He's so busy. As you know, he's a pilot for Qantas Airlines, so he's always flying. He only produces about a video every 6 weeks, I think, and it takes a lot of time for him to do that. But his content is very similar to the content that we produced for What's Neat at Model Railroad Hobbyist. We're actually building things. I've done some seriously in-depth videos, some really good ones, in fact. Our highest video we've got over there is 600,000 viewers.
Wow, that's a lot more than me. I haven't quite cracked the 100,000 for a single video yet, but I've got a lot of videos that are up in the sort of high 60s, 70s, 80s thousands.
It depends on what's in it, too. If there's a lot of scenery how-tos, it's nothing for a What's Neat video to get 50,000 views.
Yeah.
If there's not so much scenery, but guests or, a little bit more drone footage, or those videos get around 18 to 25,000. So it does vary. And it also varies in what season of the year it is. In the summertime, it slows down here traditionally in this country because people are going on vacations, they're working in their yards, they got a boat, things like that.
Yeah, it's the same in the UK. You can actually, and YouTube actually does give you a really great real-time tracking of the stats. But we get a build-up sort of September, October, November, December, and then it starts to drop off again in January as people start to move into the year, go on holiday, and the summer is usually quite flat.
Right. Yeah, same here. The one thing that amazes me about the podcast, the weekly show we do, is the numbers on that just keep going up.
Yeah.
It seems like they range between 8 and 11,000 views on an average show. But when you quantify a month and all the viewers aren't the same every week, you're looking at a possible 40 to 50,000 views. And our subscriber number I think the last time I looked was close to 14 or 15,000 subscribers. which is actually in parallel to the smaller magazines. Mainline Modeler had about a subscription rate of 12 to 14,000. Rail Model Journal was at 7,000. It's not like the old days of Model Railroader magazine when they had a very high subscription number that they would advertise.
Yeah, I guess in the UK as well, and I'll probably get shot down in flames. So I know there's at least one person from the one of the magazines in.
New Junction.
He's already in.
New Junction.
He's already posted, so I know he's in. But I know that the magazine circulations are such closely guarded secrets in the UK. But I know from having worked for one particular manufacturer that their view was that the likes of YouTube, if you got a good YouTube channel, you could easily outstrip what a magazine could actually access in terms of viewing figures. And
that's very true.
And the other thing as well is that YouTube videos do tend to be very evergreen content, whereas a magazine, it's out for a month and then it's superseded. The videos, you can always find the older videos, and new people will come across those months or even years after they were originally posted.
Well, in the United States, traditionally, the model manufacturers were about between 7 and 10 years behind the curve of technology with regards to advertising. But they've discovered Facebook. They have discovered YouTube. Rapido is a great example that really uses YouTube a lot to further their sales and get their name out there. And a lot of these manufacturers are starting to discover that. But at the same time, they also discover how much work it is to produce content for things like that. And you've got to justify the employees' time, the content, as compared to if you just sign up for my show or our show, whereas we're already a streamlined operation that can get the word out there for you for a fraction of the cost that it would cost you to produce the videos yourself. And that's a selling point. That is truly a selling point.
Absolutely. And I think as well, one of the things that I've noted too is that when a manufacturer makes its own video content, it's very easy for it to almost become like a shopping channel. People don't buy into it as deeply as they would if a third party is making the video and evangelizing about this product, saying, this product, it does what it meant to. Look at the results I'm getting. People believe it more. It's worth more if it's coming from a third party. And that in turn leads to a much higher conversion into actual sales, I guess. But we always say in the UK that we're probably about 7 to 10 years behind the States. So we've still it's true, it's absolutely true. They've always said this, and it does kind of follow. So at the moment, what I've found is that the smaller companies, they're very much on board with the idea that social media, YouTube, Facebook, that kind of thing, is the new frontier. That's where they need to get their message out. And we see that some manufacturers are still wedded to the idea of its magazines and nothing else, to the point where they won't even send out press releases to the big YouTubers. They just won't do it, And how difficult is that, just to add somebody's email address to a mailing list that you were probably sending out to magazines already, but they just won't do that. And then there's others who have very quickly shown the worth of the format. Hornby has done very well, but also Rapido UK, and I guess that Rapido has taken that experience in Canada, in North America, and they've applied that from the outset when they set up in the UK, and they've been very successful. But it's a strange frontier. Trying to get sponsors in the UK can sometimes be very, very difficult, because the bigger companies, it's almost like they see YouTube as being kids playing at making videos rather than an actual legitimate business.
So to be honest,
okay, well,
sometimes it's even worse than that. It's like, so let me get this straight. You're telling me that I could attach my phone to my television and get new shows? But how does that work? That's magic.
What you are describing, I have studied intimately, and I understand why it is that way with the smaller companies as opposed to the larger companies. And the difference is when you're a small company, you've got just very few people and a principal that runs that company. So they're easy to adapt. They're easy to switch gears and make a change. When you're dealing with a larger company, and we know who they are without bringing up names, you're dealing with a conglomerate, a constituency, a bureaucracy of people. You're dealing with a lot of different figureheads. Some of them have their own agenda to get themselves advanced in the company. For various reasons, they elect to not all vote together on the same idea. And that's what happens when you've got a great big company that doesn't have the principle that can just get in there and say, here's the decision we're going to make today. When it comes to business, you've got to be able to adapt quickly. And that's why so many of the larger companies have been slow to adapt to the internet. But they are starting to figure it out. They're starting to see it.
Absolutely. And I'm seeing in the comments, actually, I'm not going to read them out, but a lot of people are guessing absolutely correctly the name of that particular manufacturer, certainly in the UK. And I think it will come in time. But
Trent's actually spot on what he's saying with the need to be able to adapt. Amstrad went from just selling parts for hi-fis to dominating business within a few years because Alan Sugar made sure that any decision, he was there. You called him and said, we need the decision this, and he made the decision. A lot of companies don't do that.
And I think, I mean, it's certainly British industry, or any company that has a base in the UK or a division that is based in the UK. I don't know what it is about it, but it's always they fear change and they are dragged kicking and screaming into it. And there's always this adage of, but we've always done it like this. And it's.
You're describing what I went through with the magazines when I started publishing articles.
Yeah.
The past accepted way of having a published article in the paper press was you'd submit the material, you'd hope that they accept it, and then they would send you a letter and a check for $200 or $300 and say, you are now presently in the pages of blah, blah, blah magazine. Be proud. And what I did was when I started writing articles for this industry, I was coming from the real estate business. I had owned my own real estate company. I was a businessman that understood numbers. I understood what time was worth. And so I would come to these magazines, and you don't get me wrong, you've got to have high quality work in order to be able to do this. If your work is just so-so, you can't pull this off. You've got to have something that people want to look at and see visually. And so much grammatically, I'm not worried about that. You know, they got their editors to fix my broken English. But what I did was I approached these magazines like a business deal. I would say, look, instead of here's how much time I've got into it. I think this package of 7 articles is worth $3,000. I'm not interested in $250, and I don't want your letter. I want $3,000, and I'd start negotiating with these companies. And one of them one time came back at me and said, we're only going to offer you $1,800. And I came back at them and I said, please have that on your desk at 12 noon tomorrow, and I will pick it up. And I jumped on an airplane, and before the next day was over, I got my $3,000 from another magazine. And once they discovered that this guy, you know, we either have to work with him or we won't get the material. Well, that's when I started to diversify and find out that you could shoot covers for the various large distributors or do ad photography for them, and you can make some really, really good money doing that because they also respect your time. You got to figure if you're helping somebody sell $500,000 worth of models, it's nothing to get paid between $7,000 and $10,000 for an ad photograph. It's just a matter of respect for your time. It's simple respect for one's time. And so I approached this hobby like a business, and I don't know that anybody else did that before, but I did, and it worked for me. I made it work.
Absolutely. And I mean, you're very much the beacon for. Oh, right. So we've been talking for well over an hour now. It does fly by. I know exactly what you're saying. You're very much the beacon in the hobby of the success of how to make this work. And you know, I've never known anybody have so many sponsors. And it's I must I've kind of looked at how you've done a lot of these things, and I've tried to apply it to
Everything I've suggested to you, you have done.
Yeah.
That's another thing I like about you. You don't just blow me off. You listen and you do it, and I respect that.
Thank you. And very much. I mean, it's like, you know, we talked about inspirational modelers before, and I would certainly have you on my list as a huge inspiration, because you've basically showed me how to take doing this to the next level, to treat it on a very professional level. And since we first, you first had me on your show and we first started talking, I've been able to build up a really great relationship working with a lot of manufacturers to review products, which is a great first step, I guess, you know, because it all builds on those foundations that the once you get that working relationship, that's something you can then build onto. I've got the sponsors, but it's you know, it's, I always look and see what you've been doing as my inspiration of like, where do I go next?
It's not a bad thing because it works. Look, you and Zoe have also been a very, very, you guys are my friend. I regard you not just as business partners, but my friend. When I went through all this nonsense last fall and last summer with regards to losing my marriage, you were there for me. We had some very intimate conversations, and I really appreciated your support because there was a lot of times I didn't think of everything. But you filled the picture in for me, and emotionally, you were very helpful to me, and I thank you so much for that.
You're absolutely welcome, and it's something that I've always believed is that sometimes what you really need is somebody you can talk to, and it's just the saying of the words and talking through the how you're feeling, what you're thinking about, is actually invaluable, and it's something that. You can't really do it just by looking at yourself in the mirror and talking at yourself. You need that other person there, because sometimes it's just that the littlest thing. Go, well, actually, have you thought of this? Or actually, it's not. You know, it's not quite how you think it is. You know, if you try looking at it this way, and sometimes that's just what you need.
I approached it again like a business transaction, but you brought in the human element for me. You brought in that part for me.
Absolutely, I'm really glad that I was able to be there for you. But I'm looking at the time. We're going to have to. At the end of the Monday Club, we always like to we show videos that people send in to us, and it's a great way of seeing how other people do their modelling, and just to get inspiration, to get ideas. So. Look, I'd like to really thank you, Ken. It's been great to have a chat. But we're going to move to. We're going to be showing some of the videos that people have sent in, and it's over the last couple of years. Actually, we've actually been very honoured to be sent videos for channels that are just starting out. But the standard of the modelling has been really incredible, and it's just great to watch these people grow and the layouts develop. Anyway, look, I'm going to let you get on there, Ken, because I know it's quite late there. You're probably, what, about 2 a.m. in the morning? 1:30, 2 o'clock?
It is 2:28 in the afternoon, and I've got to get the podcast out in the next 4 hours.
No worries. Well, look, it's been an honour to talk with you, and look, we'll catch up soon, and it's been great having you finally on the Monday Club. And at some point,
Zoe, Jennifer, I love you both.
Look, anyway, you take great care of yourself, and look, we'll catch you later. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
So a big thank you there to Ken Patterson for joining us here on the Monday Club. We have got. I've been neglecting the comments. So if you've asked any questions, then that I've managed to not see. But just ask them again. But we've got another.
Give me 1 second. I have to have my tab so I can get the videos.
No worries.
You know how we work.
I know. Right, I'm going to take my headphones on. So, Humanicity Junction says Luke dropped the trains from his channel and is only doing dioramas, and that has really boosted his channel. I think
that could be an interesting move for some people, I suppose.
I think that chat is, for some reason, this chat is not updating.
Well, there it is. There it is for you.
So, yeah, we've had Ken Patterson on.
Thank you, Flymer Chairman 1, who's put Ken's URL into the chat.
And that's absolutely. And you can, as well, if you want to support Ken and the What's Neat This Week podcast, there is a link there on screen that will take you straight to his website. Stevie Film says, I have the 2021 Pullman Power Cars and Coaches on pre-order. The retailer, even though I fully paid last year, wanted me to pay more, as Hornby have changed the price to match the 2022 releases. And this goes back to actually what we were talking about at the start, that about whether it's been a PR disaster or has this been marketing genius. And well,
I'm sorry to say that if you've fully paid up for goods, you've got a contract.
But your contract is with the retailer, not with Hornby.
So? They agreed to sell you something for a price and you paid that price?
I think this is, what this boils down to is this is where taking the money up front is a dangerous area for a retailer. And whilst a deposit is...
A deposit I can understand, because a deposit is just holding one for you.
But certainly if you take the full price of something, then effectively that contract is from the buyer's perspective, is concluded.
Yeah.
And I'd be interested to know what the legality is on that specifically.
They're going to be in a bit of a bad situation if they try and say, oh, well, we need more. But you contracted for X amount.
Yeah. And it really is tricky. But a lot of people are spotting the TARDIS as TARDIS by turntable and next to the A4, says Richard Swiderski. And J94, big hello to you. Says, anyone see the Acura Scale GWR Manor running on a rolling road? I did. That looked amazing. And I know I've neglected it, but next week, as our special guest, we have got Fran Burke from Acura Scale, who will be hopefully coming on. And it will be an opportunity to ask questions of Fran. So, if anybody wants to ask a specific question of Acura Scale, then the best way to do this, and we're going to collate these and put them to Fran next week, is could you send any questions that you have for Acura Scale to zoe@zoerobinson.com, and if you put Acura Scale in the subject title, that will help us to collate them and to be able to have them all ready to ask Fran, and we're going to be accepting those all the way through to next Monday, and then we've got
going again, making me do work.
I know. Kev McKay 85, big hello to you, says got the hush hush and Hornby honoured the price at point of order and didn't up the price.
Nice.
Absolutely. This is the thing as well, that Hornby does appear to be trying to encourage people to order direct. And what is interesting is that whilst they are charging full RRP, then they appear to be honouring that price. So as the prices go up, that previous RRP ends up being cheaper than the discounted price. And it does appear to be an interesting tactic. Stevie Film says, I think retailers should stop allowing pre-ordering. I suspect that when it comes to Hornby prices, that may well be the case. But certainly, as we said before, we've seen a 30% increase in share price at Hornby. We've seen a lot of product lines from the new 2022 range actually sell out to pre-orders. Whether that means that they are truly sold out remains to be seen, but certainly the allocation to retailers is selling out, and that is pleasing the marketplace. Well, it's certainly the people who deal with shares. Now, one last bit of news.
I've got one thing. J7802 says, so in what way are you guys business partners with Ken?
We're not.
We're not.
We are not business partners with Ken.
Jen does some work for hire for Ken's magazine, isn't it?
Well, it's Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine.
Yeah, and sometimes you turn up on his show.
I sometimes turn up on What's Neat This Week, and I've been contracted to produce video content for the What's Neat This Week Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine podcast.
But that is not being a business partner.
No,
with us.
not a business partner, not at all.
Yeah. So what was it that you were wanting to say?
Other breaking news as well, which I didn't get a chance to say at the start, is that
Broke the news. What have you done?
Oxford Rail, the banana vans, the Great Eastern ventilated vans, and the Pilchard wagons are announced as now being available from Oxford Rail. So these
Excellent.
are 3 long-awaited wagons. Really looking forward to these, and hopefully going to be able to do a review of those sooner rather than later. But certainly, if those are models you've been waiting for, then do look out for them because they are on their way.
Excellent. So we have a fair amount of videos sent in this week, which is why I had to remind you of the time, Jan, because you were having a very happy conversation there.
I do get carried away. James
Yes.
Pett says, I approve of bananas. I don't like bananas myself. But Dongit's Model Railway says, given Hornby's treatment of retailer orders, I'm not willing to reward them by ordering from Hornby direct. And also, Evan Terry
Excuse
says
me.
they also broke copyright laws. Yeah, my thoughts, and this is my thoughts rather than anything that I've heard. I think that the Titfield Thunderbolt range is going to be quietly dropped.
I have a feeling you're right.
I don't see how they could make that, but there is a saying that no publicity is bad publicity, and it would appear in this instance that whilst there is a lot of people who are making a lot of complaint about what Hornby have done, Hornby do sell their models to a much wider audience in terms of you can buy them in Argos, you can buy them in some supermarkets. They're on Amazon as well. There is a huge range of Hornby models available outside of the modelling scene, and it would appear that this has only served to up the amount of coverage that they've got. All right.
So we'll see what happens. So our first video of the night is from Hertfordshire Railway. It says, sorry this is a little late, but I wanted to share a quick video of my layout with you guys. He sent it just near the end of last week, which is why we're showing it first this week.
Okay.
So let's have a look at this.
So you hit play.
This is Oxford Rail J27's Hard at Work.
And these are a great model, and currently you still can find most of the versions still available out there. If you want to know more about the J27, I did do a full review.
Wagon.
Yeah, and that goes back, and the Bird's Eye as well. Actually, quite a few of those wagons are promotional wagons.
I love them.
Which
They're
is
great.
what I was talking about a little bit with Ken. I do love that station, actually. Some really nice work on the station.
Yeah.
Where's it got? Somerset Andy says, Jenny, as normal, your layout looks awesome. Great models and great camera views. Thank you so much. Again, really always grateful as well. Somerset Andy being a great supporter of the channel. Ben Tullett says, can't afford any more new trains this year, although I will be getting some second-hand items if they're in reasonable condition. Well, you may want to see some of the video content I've been putting together, because one of the things I have been looking around to see what bargains I can find. But this is a great layout. We've got the N7, I think. Is that an N7 or N2 there? A little bit difficult to see in the light, but certainly this is a great fun layout. I do like your 4-track station. Really, really nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of personality to a train station like that. It's got a lot going on with it.
So we've got the J27 whipping round there.
Are those the meerkats in the background as well?
Shimpers. I don't know. But this is a really great layout, and I like the fact you've got the 2 J27s. Really great value for money. Nigel Cole as well says, I have an Oxford Rail J27.
That's
great
a nice
logo.
church in the background.
It is nice. I like the back scene as well. It works well. Tony Wright says, hi Jenny and Zoe. I give Hornby tech support. It's fantastic. I sent in 2 locomotives with faults and they repaired them under warranty, and they came back within 5 days.
That reminds me of something that happened with you.
What?
You reviewed a, what was it, Daypole?
Oh yeah,
a Daypole locomotive, and then we sent it back to them because it was a loaner to review.
Yeah.
And they repaired it and sent it back.
Well, they didn't repair it. They went, "There's nothing wrong with this," and sent it back. And it's like, that was yours.
That was yours, guys.
That's yours. But Craig Douglas says, "I think that Hornby can still ship a Lion, brake van, a laureate, and a grounded coach body in a red Hornby box when the time to ship comes around." Yeah, I think the artwork is going to change. And it's what a lot of people said, that, you know, if you make a model of the laureate wagon, they existed. As long as it's in the livery that it really existed in, then you're absolutely fine. The brake van, as long as it doesn't have the hanging baskets on, the hanging baskets make it Tipfield Thunderbolt. Remove the hanging baskets, absolutely fine.
Yeah.
You can make a model of Lion, because Lion really existed. It's Thunderbolt you can't make a model of in delivery. And Dan's coach, the coach body that went into the laureate, that was a prop from the film. It wasn't a real coach body, it was a prop. And that is where they may struggle. Now, I did see somebody suggest that basically, Hornby had the license from 2013. Do they still have it? Now, I believe they don't, but we did entertain the possibility, and I'm waiting for some confirmation on this, that what if it's not Hornby who've made the mistake, but it's Studio Canal? But then that would bounce back to, why does it say inspired by and not licensed from, if they still held a license? So
I just don't know. That's the biggest issue that we have here, is that everything that's currently in the public domain is limited, and the rest is guesswork.
Absolutely.
Nobody knows, and no one's going to know for quite a while.
And Hornby are being quite tight-lipped on this. And actually, it's probably what, if they're getting legal advice, the best legal advice is shut your trap, don't say anything. Mm-hmm. And they're really not saying anything. And less is more in some of these situations. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I'm waiting to hear from Rapido about how things are going, but actually, one of the things I've seen a lot of places on internet for, a lot of the armchair experts are saying, "Oh well, Rapido hasn't got as deep pockets as Hornby."
Doesn't matter.
Well, actually, it's not Rapido that would do the enforcement; it's Studio Canal, because it's their IP.
Yeah. So Hornby would be versus Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because Studio Canal is owned by one of the big boys, isn't it?
Vivalda or something.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It's a big one. Never heard of them, but they're big. £1.2 billion.
A lot of the time you
profit,
don't hear
not
about
turnover, profit.
Yeah.
Tim's model railway in different videos. No, Thunderbolt Loco is actually Lion. The Liverpool and Manchester Railway 042 Lion. The 14XX Auto Tank, one did feature in Tipfield Thunderbolt, but that's a different locomotive. Dongit's model railway says, perhaps Hornby can lean on that license to release it under the Corgi brand, but cross-promoted to Hornby. Yeah, there was some debate over the bus really was the biggie in the Pearson Crump livery.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
that's completely fictitious, which means it's copyrighted.
Yeah, it's from the film, but there is some suggestion that Corgi have a license. So, I think this is going to be something that's best to just see what pans out.
Yeah.
But in terms of the original question posed in the thumbnail to the video, PR disaster or marketing genius? It's still too early to say entirely, but it does look like this may well be a Simon Kohler marketing genius moment. And I know that's not necessarily what a lot of people want to hear, but it seems to have actually done the business to up Hornby's share price, and it's keeping the investors happy.
Absolutely. So next up we have a video from a guy called Hunter's Halt, who used to be NMY Irish.
Oh yes, I remember.
So we'll see this. And here we go.
So keep calm
and he sent a message. We actually got one sent last week, but he'd taken it down and replaced it with this one. So that's why we didn't get it to run.
Was that the one where it said couldn't access the video? We thought that it had been made private.
That's it. So what we've got here is Hi everyone, link below to my one and only video on my channel, which is probably the only video that will appear with the layout in its current guise. I'm contemplating ripping it up and starting afresh.
No!
Like most newbies, I threw the track onto the baseboard without giving a thought to running ability, resulting in something that I'm not really happy with. This video
looks a really good model.
It really does. It's wonderful looking, and it's a bit of a shame. I would I wish you all the best luck. Let's put it that way, because
this is nice.
It looks fantastic, and I want to see good things from you. But he says,
wow.
The video features the limited edition Bachmann London Transport Class 20 Sherlock Holmes.
Look at the gates!
Oh my goodness! That is so cool.
I like that.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
and you're thinking of ripping this up? Come on. Oh my goodness.
Actually, this is nice.
Gronk.
That's not a Gronk.
It should have been. It should have been
20.
a Gronk. It should have been a Gronk.
This is actually a really nicely put together model. So, yeah, Ruben Ashwell says nice London Transport Class 20 there.
So we've got an interesting comment that he's got here as well. He says, this is a rather selfish suggestion, but I've never missed an episode of Monday Club since getting into the hobby in July 2020. Ooh. Jenny's knowledge is second to none.
Oh,
My shift pattern means I can't watch live every week, but I always watch catch-up. The on-screen chat has always been a distraction. I totally understood why it needed to be shown during live chat, but not due to live chat not being available on all devices. But live chat can now be viewed across all platforms, including smart TV, so I wondered if you'd consider removing it from the screen.
Oh, that's interesting. Because the only reason it was left on the screen was because of smart TVs. We'll have to look into that. Yeah.
I wasn't... Oh my goodness.
This is
that looks real.
Oh, they're the Daypol signals. I did a full install and review of those. They are really, really good.
Wow,
I like the ballasting as well. This is really good.
He's just turn it up and start again.
What's wrong with it? It looks great.
It looks amazing. But yeah, we'll have a look into the on-screen chat. I've got to test it because I'm not sure our smart TV can do that.
This is certainly a really nice layout. I do like the lamps as well, with that sort of pale pastel sky blue.
Oh my goodness!
Always got to love a onboard cam.
That looks so good.
Yeah, nice scissor crossing, and then whoo, into the tunnel, and then out of the tunnel again. Woo.
I'm sorry, but that looks real to me. How can you be considering titting this up?
This is good. I like the weathering and the kind of the bits of plants and detritus around the walls and stuff. They look old and bedded in. I like that cutting. That's nice. Your static grass work is really good.
It looks like the railway is going through the scenery rather than the railway being plonked in and then the scenery put around it.
Yeah, this is nice.
It's amazing.
And Peter Lane says, yeah, nice layout. Notice the bouncing signals. Yeah, they're the Daypol servo actuator ones. They are really, really good.
Jen loves them.
Big hello to Craig Douglas. He says, I watch mostly on catch-up as well due to other commitments. I think we also saw, I did see briefly Angus's Trains is in as well. So big hello to Angus's Trains. And I think I also may have missed some super chats. So if I've missed anybody who's donated on Super Chat because we were doing the interview with Ken, then I'd just like to say absolutely thank you so much to everybody who has incredibly generously donated via Super Chat, because it all goes to help making the videos that you want to see. And certainly it's one of the things that I'm looking to do over a couple of videos is I want to show people exactly where the money that people donate through Super Chat, through PayPal.me, and through Patreon goes. But thank you ever so much for that. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
So good.
Really like that. That was a great model, and it'd be a shame to see you actually pull all that up. Skipsy Train says, though, the on-screen chat is invaluable when the videos are being shown, as you get instant feedback.
That is true, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to have a good think about that.
It's not something we're going to do immediately, let's put it that way.
Stephen Cameron says the 20 looks lovely with the blood and custard coaches, and J. Pedro Rocha says the video camera has good images. Absolutely. Charlie McGowan's Patrick Hill Station says brilliant modelling. Simon Train's Model Railway Showcase says it's an amazing layout. Jacob Furness says, I've always loved the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. Great childhood memories. Oswestry Road TMD, hello to you. Valleys 56XX. Evan Terry says, is this on a real train? Oh, it's a model. And to think, it's a model that he's thinking of taking apart. Charlie McGowan's Patrick Hill Station says, I sometimes watch on my smart TV and comment on my iPhone. Flymo Chairman 1, if you like the videos in the Monday Club and want to help Jenny make more, take a look at Jenny's Patreon page. Thank you so much. It's great to see you on message. And of course, you can also check out our full merch store if you want to take a look in the merch store down below. And we've got the all-new Billy's Replacement Speakers, T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, which we've got one here, die-cut stickers. We have the works. So, Southern Train Girl, hello to you. Cameron Patterson says, good night to you all from Glasgow. Work tomorrow. Of course, it is a school night for so many people. But thank you very much for joining us. And it's been an interesting Monday Club. We tried something a bit different today. I had been trying to line up Ken Patterson. It's always great to chat with Ken. But we didn't know whether we could make it work. So that's why it probably felt a little bit last minute. But certainly next week we're looking to get Fran Burke from Accurascale on. And if you've got some questions that you want to ask direct to Accurascale, then please send those questions in an email to zoe@zoerobinson.com, which incidentally is the same email address for sending the links, the URL links for any videos you want to share with us of your own layout. But instead of putting Monday Club in the title, if you can put Accurascale, then that just helps us find those questions, and we will be next Monday putting those questions to Fran Burke of Accurascale. And of course we saw that lovely slow running video of the manor, so it's your opportunity to ask those questions. John JMC says, who is next? So we've got H&H Express Model N scale trains, and this is Codyville Village Part 6.
Building Codyville Village Part 6. So this looks superb, and he's building this huge layout from what I can tell. But we've had a message from him as well, saying, hi all, I like the Monday Club show in which you show other builds which are made in the model railway community. Well, yes, that's part of what we love as well, to be honest with you. Because everyone can find something new. And
absolutely.
Oh, look at the way he's showing this off. Oh, that is so good.
Oh, and
I like the way he's done this.
And different textures as well as colours. And that's always really important. Texture. You see texture as much as you see the colours. And I think it's really important, and it's one of the things that I do get asked a lot about with the scenery.
What is he putting in the bottom of the river there?
Is that sand? I think it's like sand, little rocks.
That's interesting. Oh my goodness! So
and that's how I do with landscape. A base layer of sand is really good for giving you that earth dirt texture. Now I would go over that with then static grass. But because you're over this texture, it works really well.
Yes.
But
this guy's from the Netherlands, so we're getting another different country's way of doing things, and another different country's look at buildings as well, and everything else. So this is really cool.
I see. I really like. You can see they're building up the layers. And it looks great because you've got that base layer of the fine sand. And I use fine kiln-dried paving sand. That does look really good. The backside really brings it to life.
Oh my goodness.
Again, it's like I say, texture is important.
It really does win. It wins out.
And Somerset Andy says, Jenny, I have those Accurascale Coil A wagons here for a review. They look amazing. Absolutely. I did a full review on those. Accurascale did send over a triple pack. And really, really pleased. I've not seen a bad Accurascale wagon, it has to be said. Craig Douglas is asking, when are the Caledonian Sleeper Mark 5 coaches coming out? It's the only question I have for a Cura scale. But certainly pop that in an email to zoe@zoerobinson.com with the title, with a Cura scale in the title, and we will put all your questions to Fran next Monday. Andy Brooks says, that's really good. I'm loving the sound.
Look at the way he's blended the back scene into the foreground.
But you can see there with the terrain, how that sand really makes it.
Yeah.
And it's a technique. All of the scenery you see here, all of the land has that base layer of sand.
You can feel it with the eye.
Yeah, there's an interesting way of putting it, but I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, you know exactly. Oh my goodness, look at how it's finished off at the end with that river. That is so well done.
That is really nice. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
Some nice trees as well.
And it doesn't look like he's used any of the resin water that you would use.
No, I think it was...
He's got textures and paint effects.
I think he's used like watered down PVA, painted base, watered down PVA, and then in turn,
that is so nice.
Really enjoyed that. John JMC says, waiting for the TPE Mark V to run with my TPE 68 fitted with my new sound file. AFD Comp, really great to see you in. Mel's as well, great to see you. Andy Brooks, that's really good, loving the sand. Ruben Ashwell, that looks brilliant. Daniel Dark Magician, I so can't wait for Sonic Models OO Gauge LNER A5 stroke GCR 9N to come out later this year. Really unique locomotive for railway modelers. Absolutely, actually. I need to chase up with Rails to see if it's possible to borrow one of the samples, because that is also one that I'm really looking forward to. Now this, so who's this from?
Okay, this is from Charles Gibbs, and he asks, can you identify this goods wagon?
The goods wagon? Well, that is that's a Great Western Railway horse box.
Wow, straight away. Apparently, Charles, she can recognise that goods wagon. Yeah, that is an amazing thing again.
And I'll tell you now, it's a Hornby GWR horse box. Really great wagon, actually.
Yeah.
John Nutman says, no exhibition, it's cancelled, Jenny and so. Oh my word.
What's cancelled?
Just looking back, I'm not sure which exhibition. I know a few have been cancelled. J. Pedro Rocha says, what do you think that would be better on our layout, river sand or chinchilla sand? I think they're both good. I actually...
actual chinchillas. Have them chase the trains. That would be amazing to watch. Let me see it.
Can I just say that I think that locomotive, I'm going to have a stab at what the locomotive is, but is that is the 240 BT well tank. Does he actually say what the loco is as well?
No. But James Petts has a very good point here. Yes, he can identify it. It's John the goods wagon. He's not wrong.
Absolutely. Darren Mould asks, just put real coal in a wagon, use speed bond glue. Absolutely. Real coal, crush it right down, grade it. The one thing you'll find from collieries, they always ran the coal through screens, so the coal will be all roughly the same sort of sized lumps. You can have very fine coal, you can have very coarse coal, but it would be the same in a wagon, if that makes sense. But certainly that was, really enjoyed that picture. Now, this is a regular to the Monday Club. And
I wish he would stop sending in photographs of actual places and saying that they're models. Street. Because it's just not fair. Mark, send in some photos of your model, not of real places.
Can I just say, we've watched this develop from the very start. Mark has shared these with us. And it's incredible, not just the quality of the modelling, but how quickly he's put this together. It really is astounding.
What I'd like to know, though, is... he's answered the question, how he's doing it. Ooh. I was going to say, what I'd like to know is how he's managing to get it so right. He's actually answered that with some of today's photos.
Okay.
So we've got an amazing piece here, which just looks... It looks like a photograph from the time. But if we move on, we'll see some different angles. So there's where it's like without the train in it, and it looks pretty damn good. And then we get to see all that. And this is what's really selling it.
It's the detail, dirt and
the fact that it's got the actual dirt and things. But let me just find... Wow, that is amazing. It's
incredible
so fine.
modelling.
And then we get some more. But I'm really just jumping through a lot of these because I want to hit on the right thing that I want to show you.
I've got that very same locomotive.
Where is the picture? There. That's what I'm talking about. This is how he's managed to do it.
So he's working
He's
very
got a
closely.
photograph and he's making sure that these images look like, not the images, these back scenes have the dirt and the detail that's in those pictures. And that's how he's doing it.
And that's what they always say, you know, if you work from a real location with photographs. And I know all those, the brute trolleys and the platform tractors, they're 3D printed models that he posted on Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Painting all those up. They're really, really great.
They look so good. But yeah, everyone's saying the tiles. Yeah.
And Andy Hudson says, living in Birmingham, I recognise that scene before you said New Street.
Yeah, we've been there.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I've got that exact locomotive as
and
well.
The way that the light is coming through. He's got the angles right. It's just so good.
It really is incredible.
But wow, we've probably stood there. That is an amazing thought. We've probably... If you took that as a green screen background and stood someone in that, they would not look out of place.
It is really, really nice. Really, really impressed.
So well done.
James Petts is like, the platform numbers, the buns, the Tesco carrier bag, the best period. This is a joy. Oh, and big hello to Krista Duke as well. Great to have you in. Those are really nice.
3D printed?
I believe so, yes.
The standard of 3D printing is
they're painted
so
afterwards.
Good. Well, of course they are, but the standard of them now, that is so good.
Valleys 56XX says, did anyone see the stretch of tracks in LA where they raid the Amazon and FedEx containers on the trains? Empty packets everywhere. I'm not seeing that. Jacob Furness asks, I wonder if there's going to be another series of the Great Model Railway Challenge. Unfortunately, I have spoken to the producers of the series, and unfortunately at this time there are no plans to make the third series of Great Model Railway Challenge, unfortunately.
Whoa.
What's this?
I need to go back. Where is this a short?
Yeah.
Have we got... No, we haven't got sound on it. That's okay. Oh, I thought for a second we had a Billy's Replacement Speakers situation. So this one's coming from Patrick Webb, and I'm going to place the thing straight into the chat as well. We're going to show you in a moment.
Oh, and instantly, Timber Surf, I forgot to mention before, the 3D printed items have arrived safely, and we'll be looking to film the review on those. But thank you ever so much for those, and they do include Billy's Replacement Speakers.
Yes.
Speakers.
So here we go. So if you bring that up on the screen, this is going to look a bit weird for you guys, but you've got the link. So here we go. This is a YouTube short. Yeah,
which are always in this sort of weird
first Amtrak train ride with Anniversary Loco 108.
Excellent. And when you look at that, there's a lot of similarities between some UK between UK stations and US stations in certain areas. Now, before the train pulled in, you could have said to me that would be somewhere like Milton Keynes, and I'd have believed you. But thank you ever so much for sharing that with us.
We've got a bit of an email as well. Dear Zoe and Jen, I hope you're doing well. This is my first time emailing for the Monday Club and have something special for you. I recently travelled home by train for the holidays, which was my first time riding a train for transport and not fun, though I do have a special engine haul my train. Here we see the Amtrak 50th Anniversary Locomotive 108, a GE Genesis hauling the Pennsylvanian. As a fun fact, the station where I boarded was visited by the Royal Scot during its North America tour. Hope you both have a good week. Well, thank you very much. I thought that was great.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
There it is. So I'm going to send that into the chat now. There you go. And have a look at that. And I think that's really cool because there are other things that he's also got in his short as well. So that's cool.
But yeah, Andy Brooks says, that's a shame. I started watching Series 2 of the Great Model Railway Challenge again. Unfortunately, it's just unfortunately
just how it is.
COVID's kind of really derailed it all, no pun intended.
Yeah. Okay, we've got 2 more, so I think we'll just keep going, you know? It won't be too far past 9.
No worries.
But what we have now is something from Charlie. And if you bring that up on the screen,
Yeah.
he says, "Hi Zoe, interesting show today. This was sent today. Here's what I'm working on. We had a snow overnight and it's still coming. Bad news is there will be more coming by the end of the week.
I like snow.
12 to 15 inches out there already. But he managed to get most clear with the help of his snowblower. That's very nice. And he's working on this rather interesting bridge.
I do like a good bridge.
I like the way he's got the rust in there already.
Was it like a bowstring girder bridge?
Yeah. And there's the snow.
That is impressive.
To be honest with you, Jen would be inside building, and I would be outside making a snow Dalek. Probably situated just so it looks like it's looking in the window.
Have they said whereabouts they are?
No.
I'm going to hazard a guess, not in the UK. Canada, maybe?
Could be.
But David Shaw says, love that Hunter Holt. That is a great, well done. Very pleasing to the eye. Looks very realistic. All the best. James Petts approves of snow, and I approve of your approval.
Can you just jump back to the main thing so that people don't see all my emails? Because, that would spoil the magic of this thing.
And Patrick Webb absolutely looks like a cool bridge. I love bridges. I think bridges probably one of my favourite things to model.
Okay, here we go. So this is interesting. If you want to bring it up on screen, Bed. We've got here something very cool.
I like the Farquhar. That's from Thomas the Tank Engine, but that is really nicely done.
So Mark Rogerson sent this in. He says, "Hi Jenny, I wanted to share these pictures with you of a model of Farquhar that I've made. I used a Hornby mainline station as a base and used Slater's plasticard paints, accessories and weathering powders to bring it to life and make it more like Farquhar." And
can I just say that this shows just what can be done with some of the cheap and cheerful Hornby railroad style buildings. As you can see here, this started life as your really cheap and cheerful building, but look at how it has been brought to life.
Yeah. Oh, I like this as well. I've added a few extra details like timetables, an island map, and a large advertising poster hidden at the end of the station that we don't normally see. It's not exactly the same as the station from the Thomas TV series. My goal was to capture the air of the model. That is wonderful. And apparently you can see more of it on Instagram at the AMR Model Railway. Let's have a look. He's sent in a couple of pictures, I think.
Alan Reynolds, PVA cloth. Alan Reynolds, big hello to you.
Oh my goodness.
Just down from the loft layout, I've been working on the largest road bridge I've ever attempted, so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Sorry, Gandalf.
A Monday clubber is never late, Frodo Baggins, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Thanks, Gandalf.
Are you sure he's not got a key to get in?
I don't know. He turns up. But look at that. That is amazing. The
that is
detail.
Really nice. Yeah.
And yet, all this
really, really nice
texturing and everything.
Absolutely.
It's wonderful.
And Hardfiller Railway says, thanks for showing that video. You're absolutely welcome. Dongit's Model Railway asks, did my email not arrive? Do we have more?
I have checked everything. I will check again, but I don't know what's going on.
I like that travel by. That is really nice.
That is so well done. I like
that. Nobody in the Thomas the Tank Engine universe finds faces on trains quite creepy.
Well, no, they're used to it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sending that.
Absolutely. Now we've got just looking back through the comments.
Who said?
Andy Hudson asks, "Is the Birmingham New Street layout a home or exhibition layout?" I don't know. It's Mark Wilson you need to ask. But I think don't think it's a hugely large, and certainly it's a great idea for those who don't necessarily have a lot of space to be able to build a layout that has a great excuse for moving large trains, even light locomotives, past. Charlie McGowan, Partick Hill Station says the model bridge is made from mat board and screening repair patches for the guard stroke fence, acrylic paints and pastel powders for finishing. And Ben Tullett says that is a great station. I'm really enjoying it.
Sorry to say, I don't have... Whichever email I'm looking for, I don't have it. I don't have anything.
Did you remember it's Zoe spelled Z-O-E? It's the proper Greek spelling of Zoe.
I'm looking in my...
You have to look in the spam.
I'm looking in my spam right now, and there's nothing here. I found one set of questions, and so they've been moved into the...
Questions? Or these for a Cura scale?
So I've moved them into my main account.
And again, a reminder, you can send your questions in all through the week. for a Curascale. We've got Fran Burke from a Curascale
Whoever
on
sent it
next
is not
Monday. So any questions that you have for a Curascale, do please send them in to Zoe at zoerobinson.com. If you put a Curascale in the subject title, then it just helps us to be able to collate those. And also a huge thanks. It was a great honour to have Sir Ken of Patterson in the Monday Club tonight. Really
but
great.
It's not Donget's. I found one thing and it's not Donget's Model Railway.
Oh, when did it come in? Is it old?
Today, this is Richard Swiderski.
So we got one from Richard Swiderski.
So I'm going to grab that now.
Is it a video or is it a
video? So,
okay.
Final one. I'm really sorry to say, I don't know. Gmail can't support the videos. Yeah, you can't send the video as an attachment. You have to send it as a URL.
Yeah, you can't send attachments of videos because they just don't get through, unfortunately. So it's been a great Monday Club. I know we haven't talked quite as much about the Hornby thing as I was planning, but I did kind of want to try and bring in Ken, which we were able to. But we've got one last video here, 87002 Royal Sovereign through Hartford. And come on, make your silly joke. Come on.
Oh my goodness, that does look real. That is so well done. Where's the rest of the train?
It's Light Loco. It's a Class 66 hustling through Light Loco.
Meow.
Toot toot.
Beep beep.
Yeah,
that is
it's a good
nice.
location for. We've seen a few.
It looks
videos.
real, man. It's so convincing.
Ben Tullett says, Jenny, have you tried the micrographs applicator from World Scenic? Says, I'm thinking of getting the set with both the Pro applicator and micro applicator. Yes, I have. It is brilliant. It's really great.
It really
if
gets
you're wanting
into that little
to,
bit, doesn't it?
if you want to get static grass perfectly applied to very small areas, then it is perfect.
Beep beep. There's an
Oh,
you love an intercity.
I love that livery. Oh,
You love an intercity.
Oh, I do. That is nice. And yes, as Ruben Ashwell says, yay, no Pendolino Bowledge. Yeah. So,
That is very nice. Thank you very much for sharing that.
that is brilliant. Enjoyed that, really did.
What a way to end the show, eh?
So is that our final one?
It is.
And James Pett, I thought you might approve of sectorisation liveries. But thank you so much for that. J. Pedro Rocha says the video is not published on YouTube. Is that if you have what other ways do we have that people can get videos in? Unfortunately, you can't send it as an attachment because it just doesn't get through.
That's not the one either. That's just coming now. I don't know where that one I was looking for is. I really don't know what's happened.
So I don't know what's happened. So what is that one that's just come in?
It's just coming now from James Moody, who Monday Club video, and it came in literally 2 minutes ago. So I don't know what happened, guys. I'm so sorry.
As people starting to go, we are actually running over the time.
Okay, well then let's end this now because
no worries.
We could be here all night, and to be honest with you, Jen probably would be if I let her.
But look, it's been great having your company, and really enjoyed having you here on this extended edition of the Monday Club. We talked about Hornby. Was it a PR disaster or was it marketing genius? And actually, I'd say that at the moment, it's looking like it could be marketing genius.
It may have paid off for them.
30% increase in share price and some really quite strong sales across the board. If they quietly drop the Titfield Thunderbolt stuff, then actually they've come out of this with quite a lot of free publicity. We've also got a quick reminder that we have the Billy's replacement speakers, mugs, hoodies, t-shirt, die-cut stickers. Also Gronk It Up, Do You DMU, My Railway, My Rules as well. We've got loads and loads of stuff. Dom's Model Railroad says, I'm back. Unfortunately, we're right
back
at the end. But we've only got 175 likes, so don't forget to tickle the like button. Please share the stream as well, and if you're not already done so, do subscribe to the channel. We were honoured to have Ken Patterson from What's Neat This Week stop on by, and it was great to chat to him and put some of your questions to him too. And a big thank you to everybody who donated via Super Chat and PayPal.me. I've an awful feel I've missed some people. Whilst I was talking with Ken, it was very, very difficult to keep up with the comments. So if I missed your donation, then look, thank you ever so much. It's really, really generous of you. And we're going to be doing a couple of videos where I show you the kind of things that I'm getting using the Patreon money and also the Super Chat money. And just to show you just what video content it makes us able to do on the show. But until next time, you guys all take great care of yourselves, stay safe, look out for the videos we've got coming on Wednesday and also Friday. And until the next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying take care, bye for now.
Bye-bye.
A train now departing is the 2114 service to Castle Patterson at Wattsneed Station, stopping at Weir Yard, Grove Street Yard, Eindhoven, Bolton Trinity Road, and on to Castle Patterson. That is the 2114 service to Castle Patterson.
If you go up to the loft today, you're sure of a big surprise. If you go up to the loft today, you'll never believe your eyes. For every train there ever was has gathered there together because today's the day that Jenny does the Monday Club. Good night.